Alrighty, welcome back. So we're going to start a brand new unit. We're going to start up Firebase Authentication. So I acknowledge that some iOS apps, like some projects, don't need Firebase at all, right? Like they're just standalone things. But there are a lot that really benefit from Firebase. And then I'll say that if you're using Firebase, the chances that you're going to need authentication, like to sign in a user, is extremely high, right? Like the likelihood that you don't need to know who signed in is very, very low. So if you're going to use Firebase, just accept that you're going to need to learn Firebase authentication. And we've got an app here that we're going to work together as the follow along called Password Keeper that's going to show it to you. Start off with an acknowledgement. Password Keeper was made by Tyler during an independent study. So you see Tyler's stuff in various places. So again, can't give enough credit to Tyler. Some things we're going to learn is we're going to learn about the different types of Firebase authentication that you can use. We're specifically going to focus on four. We're going to do anonymous auth first, just to kind of get you started. Email password auth. Then we're going to use one called RoseFire, which is specifically just for Rolls-Holman students and staff. And then we're also going to show you Google Auth. So let's do a demo of this thing. Demos are way more fun. So the app that you're going to make is Password Keeper. It kind of looks like this. I'm going to zoom it down some. There we go. I kind of got it on the screen and showed my my data store over here as well. So we're going to be working on anonymous auth, which I'm not going to show here. So email password, so that's kind of this top box. RoseFire, and then also Google Auth. So I'm just going to demo each of these to you. I'm going to start with RoseFire just for fun. So RoseFire uses your Rolls-Holman username and password. If you're a Rolls-Holman student, this works out really handy because you've already got it, right? If you're not a Rolls-Holman student, faculty, or staff, this is not useful to you at all. So I'm going to have to put in my password here. I'll do that off screen there just so you don't see my password. But once I sign in, it now knows that I'm signed in as this person. And I can add different passwords that I want to save. I suppose I should have told you the point of this app. So the point of this app is to just let you save your username and passwords kind of in one vault. And obviously we picked this example because it certainly should be something that's secret and authenticated, right? Unlike movie quotes where just everybody into the world could read everything. So I'll just add a service. I can't think of a good service to add here, so I'll just add my Rolls-Holman username and password, which is of course ridiculous because I had to use it to sign in. And I'll just put blah blah as my password, right? So you can see that what it does in the back end is it made this path called users, so this is kind of hard-coded. It used my UID, which for RoseFire actually just is your username, so it's got this UID. And then it created an auto-generated key for the password. So again, this is kind of like how movie quotes work. And then a password, a service, and a username for each one. I'll go ahead and make another one here. I don't know. I've got a Google Fi account, which is also FisherDS. And I'll just put in test pass. So you can see that it shows my Google Fi on the back end. As far as the app goes, you'll notice that it's got more of a material design look going on. This is something that Tyler did. We'll talk more about that soon. And if I wanted to see what these passwords are, it's got this little folding cell thing that pops out. So my Google Fi username is FisherDS, and my password is apparently TestPass with a bunch of S's. Rolls-Holman is blah blah. You can also do standard CRUD. So if you wanted to modify one of these things, so I'll just modify my username there. And you can see that it auto updates it on the back end. You can also delete things. Oops, missed the delete button there. You can also delete things, and it'll actually make it delete in the back end. Now, if you're signed in as someone different or using a different sign-in method, of course, you don't see other people's stuff. So I'm going to click sign out here. I'm going to sign in with Google, just because I think Google's a neat way to sign in. So I'm going to put in my password here. Obviously, it would have asked for your username first, but since I've signed in and signed back out, it only asked me for my password. It asks for your permission to know your email address and basic profile things, and then you can say allow, and it'll sign you in. Note you're an entirely different user here. So if I add a Google Fi via Google account, and I add this one, you can see it actually creates a brand new user, right? So before there was the FisherDS user, which was logged in via RoseFire. Now it's someone who's signed in via Google. They used to say com.google and then a number, but it looks like they just give you a big number now. And then he has passwords as well. I put in my password is I love Google. That was kind of a joke, but I am pretty impressed with Google as a company. The other authentication method we've got is email password. So it's kind of the one at the top here. Email password is fun because by default, it doesn't like check to make sure you have that email address. You can fix that. It's called email verification. But if, let's say you want to be the president at us.gov, and so I wanted to sign up as that account, I can just be the president, right? So President Volt, I'll just go ahead and say Clinton H there, a little joke before the election's done. And so I saved a password here for the President Vault with a username and password of Clinton H, and then red, white, blue is the password. Cool, so I think you can kind of get the idea. We've got email password, which is one thing people can use, Google Auth or Rosefire Auth. My favorite is definitely the OAuth options, right? Because I hate making people create email and passwords, right? Like I hate doing that as a developer, pushing that on the users. Google is definitely my favorite. The only reason I even show you email password is because some people are like crazy Google haters, which just doesn't make sense to me, but it happens. And for those people, I want to make everybody happy. My goal is to make money as a developer, so I do have to do something to support that group of people. So I think that's what we've got for the demo. Come back next time and we'll get started developing. See you then. Bye.